Chapter 29. Up to the Tower. With Lisbeth Charles officially dead again and laid to rest, and the journal to Dr. Baxy's hands, there was only one thing Dana still needed to do. She had to get into the house that James Weaver built. "You've got a key to Wilcott Castle, Dad? Why won't you let me in?" "Because the place is a death trap. Why do you think it's going to take $250,000 to restore it? You can poke your finger through the walls where the termites have feasted, and the floors collapse with the slightest pressure. There's broken glass all around, and one more windstorm will send the roof flying to Nebraska. Flat out no." Which, of course, means yes to Dana. There had to be a way. "Simple," Jeep said. "I climb that giant elm out there and catapult myself onto the second floor flat roof." "And then what?" Anne asked. "Well, then it's so easy my little brothers could do it. All the windows up there are broken out. You just find a jagged hole big enough to crawl through." Anne cried. "I don't want to be shredded." "Don't you ever watch cop shows? I'll just stick my hand in and unlock the window and push it up." Dana said, "So let me see if I've got this. You're going to do all that, and then you're going to come downstairs and open the front door for us poor helpless girls?" "Well, yeah, that'll work." "No way. I'm the one who's going in through the window." "We'll go in through the window," Anne said with a sigh. Jeep grinned. "Just name the night." "Friday." That gave Dana 3 days to gather supplies and plan the strategy, including what to tell her parents if they all fell through the floor and died. On Friday, Dr. Baxy phoned. "Dana, thank you for giving us the journal, finally. We have all read it, the police and Dr. Fletcher and myself. Very interesting, but I'm afraid it's not too useful in closing the case. There are still too many unraveling ends. Now what to do with the journal?" Anne and Jeep were arguing over what food to bring on the break-in. "Shh," Dana hissed, covering the mouthpiece of the phone. "We have decided to give the journal to the Douglas County Historical Society." Dana's heart sank. It was hers! The curator at the museum has promised that it will be exhibited as a gift from Dana Shannon. Very nice. Well, better than nothing. By the end of the call, Anne had everything, including a bag of potato chips and some onion dip, stuffed in a backpack, and now they only had to wait for 9 o'clock when it would be dark enough to walk over to Vermont Avenue for their first breaking and entering into a castle. As a big concession to his male ego, Dana let Jeep wear the backpack as he scrambled up the tree, but she was the first one to leap across space to the second-story overhang. They found the window with the biggest hole and least number of jagged edges, and they stuffed Anne through it so she could open another window from the inside. And then they were in a room covered with empty bookshelves and cobwebs worthy of a Halloween spook house. The floor seemed squishy and the walls yielded like cardboard sets in a play. Something flew by. What was that? Don't ask. Dana led the way. A huge white thing gleamed down the hall, an ancient bathtub that hulked along the bathroom wall on dragon's claws like a beast ready to strike. Anne gasped. "Why did I listen to you guys?" "What are we supposed to be looking for?" asked Jeep. "I don't know. Jamesisms. Something that tells us what kind of guy he grew up to be." "Well, we have to go up to the tower." Jeep swept his flashlight over the rounded walls of the main hall. Waist down, the walls were some dark kind of wood and up to the ceiling. They were all peeling plaster and chipped paint. Two sconces that had once probably held kerosene lamps hung by a thread. "Nice place here," Anne said, as something furry with very short legs and a long pointy tail scurried past them. Finally, Jeep spotted a child-sized door open an inch or two. He yanked at the bloated wood, and the door creaked open just enough for them to slip into the stairwell. The stairs wound and wound upward, only wide enough for one person at a time. "Ladies first." "Not me," Anne said, but Jeep reassured her. "Keep going, I'm right behind you." The room at the top was so narrow that if you stood in the center and stretched out your arms, you could pull your flat palm on each side. "Hey, I'm holding up the tower," Jeep bragged. The red brick walls had tiny gold stars painted on them and moons, and Saturn and comets and Jupiter. An ancient telescope stood with its eye on the window. That's to find the North Star, Anne whispered. Well, this has been nice. Ready to go down? She eagerly led the way back to the stairs, but one glance down into the dark pit of the stairwell, and she begged, just toss me out the tower window. But she followed Dina down the stairs, all of them in a tight chain. What smells so ripe and musty? Dina asked. Jeep knew. Bat guano. Haven't you ever been in a cave? Bats? Quiet, you'll scare the roaches. That's it, I'm getting out of here, Anne said. Weren't you the one who wasn't even scared at A Nightmare on Elm Street? Asked Jeep. Yes, but this is real life. I'll wait out on the front porch. Don't leave without me. And she rushed down the stairs, slamming the front door on her way out. Dana and Jeep crept carefully into a massive room that faced the rear of the house. Maybe it was once Edmund Wilcott's bedroom. Dana imagined a huge four-poster bed and red drapes and a satin footstool, which Edmund the cattle baron must have used to mount his bed. Jeep whistled. Check out this window. It was about 12 feet high, foot to ceiling, swinging open like a door, and beyond was a small balcony. Jeep left the backpack in Edmund's room, and they stepped onto the balcony, sucking up the welcome breeze after the stifling, dank house. Then, in a second, Jeep vanished as if he'd fallen through a trapdoor. Something, probably his flashlight, dropped and shattered way below him. Dana's flashlight darted around. There was no sign of Jeep except for his hollering, "Ah!" until she saw the tips of his fingers, bloodless white, clinging to the top side of the rotten floorboard. Jeep hung below, his feet thrashing around for something to glom onto, but there was nothing except deep space. Hang on, Jeep! No other choice, his words came in short bursts. The thing was to distribute her weight evenly so the rest of the balcony wouldn't collapse. She lay herself carefully across what remained of the balcony floor and thrust her hands down into the darkness. Can you see my hands? Sure, so what? You think I'm going to let go of these boards? Wait, I'll shine the flashlight down below you. Not in my eyes. Right, I'm going to see if there's something soft you can jump down to. 3 floors below and sunk deep into the ground was an empty swimming pool, and that's if he could slide like a missile through space straight down. If he missed by a foot or two, he landed on a wrought iron fence that had lethal-looking keep-out points on it. Hey, Jeep, don't look down and don't jump. I'll pull you up. Fast, my arm's getting awful long. Give me one hand. You hold on to the boards while the other one just in case. Dana plunged her hands down into the dark hole, grabbing one of Jeep's wrists, but he weighed a lot more than she did, and it was hard to get any leverage. Lying flat on her belly, she used her elbows as if she were arm wrestling, but she wasn't strong enough to lift him straight up. If she could wrap his hand around one of these sturdy posts. Don't let go of me. You kiddin'? She reached for a low post in the balcony railing, and it broke off in her hand, but it was round on one side, flat on the other. Idea. Okay, Jeep, listen up. I've got this thick piece of wood here. I'm going to lay it across the hole, and I'm going to support it with all my weight on both ends. Somehow, when I say now, grab it and see if you can chin yourself up on it. She straddled the post and willed herself to be worth at least 200 pounds. Now! Jeep grunted with his effort, but finally she saw the top of his head bending from the waist, still supporting both ends of the post with her feet. She reached down and grabbed Jeep around the neck. He came up like a jack-in-the-box. You're choking me. Well, you'd be dead if I weren't. Now she had a good grip on his throat so she could get off the post and give him a hearty yank until he bent his chest over the balcony floor. He lay across the floor, coughing and gasping for breath. You okay? Sure, he said faintly. They crawled back into Edmund's bedroom and leaned against the wall. Assorted vermin scuttled across their feet, but it didn't matter much anymore. Finally, Dana said, What are we doing tomorrow night? Skydiving? This James guy, he didn't do such an outstanding job in designing balconies. It's not his fault, Dana said. It's time and weather. She rummaged around in the backpack, found the potato chips. Want some? Leave 'em for the rats, Jeep muttered. What a guy. It's true I am. No, I mean James Weaver. Thea teased, her mouth full of ranch-flavored chips.